Let's get some response to that breaking news. Joining us, ENCA sports editor Oji Molefe. Oji, good evening to you and welcome. 5 explosive paragraphs of a speech, of course, that will shake world football tonight. The sentiment of a man who feels almost like a martyr, but not one word of apology.
Not at all. I mean, I was, under the impression that Sepp Blatter would actually do the right thing and maybe resign before the Congress actually went ahead. But he was defiant after the victory, saying how he's going to change FIFA, distancing himself from all the allegations and all the scandals. And for this to happen just days after that is actually quite surprising, but a relief for many people in football, though.
Reflect on the timing of the announcement tonight.
I think
the heat has been turned up.
The heat has definitely been turned up. I mean, as I mentioned, I was expecting him maybe to say, okay, he's stepping down from the race, especially after all the arrests that happened in Switzerland last week. So for him to only resign a few days later means that he probably knows something that is coming, in the way, probably from the FBI or maybe the Swiss authorities. And he's thinking it's best to jump ship right now, because had he known that probably last week, he might have not gone on to be re-elected. So for him to just step down a few days later, I think says he probably knows something that's coming.
Dominic Scala announcing the details of an extraordinary meeting. Of course, it was meant to happen, I think, a year from now? Another election meeting a year from now. That being accelerated and fast-forwarded effectively, who would be the candidates? There's been a list done again?
It would have happened in Mexico in 2016, of course, but now there'll have to be new, candidates for re-election. We probably know that Prince Ali will probably go back again. The likes of Michael van Praag, who were supposed to stand in, but they stepped down out of last week's Congress. And Portugal legend Luis Figo was also in the running at some point. So you might find that those guys will once again come into the fore. And
Michel Platini's name is also being put forward.
Michel Platini once tried to go against Sepp Blatter, and I think he'll probably have the European support because he is the current UEFA president and he's done well in that federation. And I don't think, a lot of people will stand against him actually going for re-election. What will be surprising and what will be interesting to see is what all now the federations that voted for Sepp Blatter, in which way will they now go? We know CAF have vehemently said that they will vote for Sepp Blatter no matter what happens. There was also, echoed by Danny Jordan rather before he went over to Switzerland. So it's going to be interesting to see in which way they will actually...
Iman, I think it's useful then if we bring it back to the South African Football Association. First of all, how they will be reflecting on this tonight, what impact it's going to have on any news briefing that's going to be held by the Sports Ministry tomorrow as well as SAFA, but also this letter and to what extent that might have exacerbated developments in Zurich tonight.
I think it probably has a big role to play because it stems out quite a lot. I mean, it's very clear in that letter that SAFA would like that money to be actually put into CONCACAF. To do what exactly, we really don't know. What has it done to this point in time? We still don't know that either. And it will be interesting to see what the Ministry of Sport has to say. It will be interesting to see what the South African Football Association have to say as well tomorrow, and the members that were in that LOC in 2010.
Just some things that are interesting. I mean, in the way that FIFA has been described, it's had a chokehold on football, and the kind of fraud and corruption which we heard from the US Attorney General was intergenerational. It spanned a number of different years. Does that break automatically? What about the tentacles of corruption and fraud inside the organization? Presumably, it's they're not cauterized or cut off by the resignation of one man.
Exactly. I don't think it's the same thing I was saying last week, that I don't think Sepp Blatter can say he was at the helm of such a big organization and so much corruption is going on and you say you know nothing about it. That's impossible. So definitely there has to be a change, not just with him, but probably the people that reported to him, who are very close to him. And, we'll probably have to see a new shift. I mean, there needs to be new blood at FIFA. There needs to be new administrators who come with new ideas. And the European, vote is a very important one. I mean, they at one point threatened that they might pull away from the World Cup, for instance. And we know that that's the bread and butter of the FIFA organization. And so they're going to have to be brought in and, sort of talk as to how do they now take this organization going forward.
I sense that threat certainly brought it home as far as Sepp Blatter was concerned. Sports editor Oji Molefe, thank you very much indeed. Just to tell you that news conference tomorrow noon, I think it is tomorrow, live coverage here on ENCA, that sports ministry press briefing tomorrow. In fact, there we go, 12 o'clock tomorrow on ENCA live coverage.